So as I was reading through my comments, which I love to do, most of you give great comments, somebody asked me, we have the same galactic power. Would you let me know where you started in the game, who you farmed, what are things you did that you liked, what are things you did that you regretted, and let's just give an overview. So I said, you know what, that's a great idea. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know if this will be completely in one video because I don't want it to be extremely long. So I might cover it in one or two videos because I'm gonna break it down and I'm gonna explain to you guys where I started, when I started. So we'll get right to it. Now I started the game in late November, probably November 30th, 2016. So I was a year late from the actual release date, and obviously that probably got me a little behind a little bit. But in that year period, the first year period probably is when the least amount of things happened. Mods hadn't been released for a while. General Kenobi had just been released when I'd gotten the game. They still had the Erodium packs, and the Rogue One characters were just released. So yes, I had missed a year, but the game hadn't quite gotten up to the potential that it's at now. And there weren't a lot of videos back then. Mobile Gamer, Arnold T 101, great videos. I watched them all the time and I tried to learn. But when I first got the game, I didn't know anything about it. So naturally, I opened the game and I'm looking around. I didn't even know what meta meant. Most effective tactic available, by the way. I had no idea what that was. I looked at the characters and I went, Mace Windu. It's the first character I looked at when I opened the game. I'm like, he's got to be the most powerful. He's Mace Windu. Master of the Jedi Order, Master of Vapid. He's one of the most powerful lightsaber duelists of all time. He's got to be meta-defining. So he was the first character that I went after. When you first start the game, there are a few characters you get. Clone Wars Chewbacca, Clone Trooper, Jedi Counselor, Talia. But Mace Windu was the first person that I had started to farm. And I was so pumped. I got him to 7 stars, and, I was using him in battles, and my arena shard had literally started, late November 2016. So I was able to compete at that time because everybody was kind of starting at the same level where I was at. And you can find him in the Squad Arena store, and that's what I did. He was the first character I got from the Squad Arena store, and back then, when you're in the 1,000th place, it takes a while to be able to get all those shards. And once I got him to 7 stars, I was like, the game's going to take off. I'm able to get this shard store currency. This has to be game defining. I will get first every day once I unlock the characters in here. Well, that changed real quickly. So I learned that Mace was awful. And I hope he gets a rework one day. I've mentioned his name many times. So the characters that I have favorited here are characters that I really started out with or helped me develop in the game. So besides Mace Windu, which was a mistake, probably the first character I started farming was Boba Fett. He was a great character then. He's a great character now, by the way. And he's useful for you beginners to be able to complete the credit heist, the training droid heist. He's great in other aspects of the game. He's great for Chewie when you need to get Chewbacca. And he was the first character I started to farm out of the Cantina Battle Store. So I got him leveled up. But I made the mistake of not using him very much because I didn't define him as powerful. So probably the first arena team that I ran with consisted of Clone Wars Chewbacca, Talia, Clone Trooper, Jedi Counselor, and sometimes I threw in a different character. And I was able to get to 200 to 100. And then the game started to progress a little bit. So this is around December to January 2016, 2017. One of the characters I first started farming was, I digress a little bit. The Emperor Palpatine event and Grandmaster Yoda event kept coming up, and I didn't have them, and I thought, again, they had to be the most powerful characters in the game, which today they actually are, but back then they were pretty good. Palpatine was good, not great. I ended up using him at some point in time. So immediately, I started farming Jedi and Rebels. So, the first thing I did is I went after Anakin. I had Mace Windu leveled up, then I went after Anakin, and I found him in the Cantina Battle Store eventually when I was able to get him and unlock him because it took me a while to get to 7G. He was one of the Jedi that I eventually got to. Then, this isn't exactly to date or to the point, but it is kind of a general idea of what I did and how. Then I went after Snips because I love Ahsoka. I love Anakin. You're thinking these two are the Clone Wars TV series heroes. Anakin Skywalker is, the character of Star Wars, he's got to be meta-defining too. He was good, but he wasn't great. So then I did go after Ahsoka, and you can find her in the Cantina store as well, the Cantina Battle store, and I unlocked her. So I'm working slowly on getting all these Jedi, so I can get Grandmaster Yoda. Around the same time I was farming Qui-Gon. What was great about these people is I could find them in the Cantina Battle store where I could get, purchase them both in one day and be able to farm them simultaneously. But a few characters that I decided that, quickly back to Jedi, the other character that I went after, I forgot about this here, was Luminara Unduli, because she was another Jedi I could have to unlock Grandmaster Yoda. And I could find her in the Galactic War store. So I started doing that right away. Easy way to farm these Jedi so I could get Grandmaster Yoda. And I slowly started leveling them up. Probably the first character I looked at after Mace Windu that I went, I absolutely need this character, because he was actually part of the meta at the time, or some aspect or close to it, was Darth Maul. Now, he was trickier to get, because I could get him from the Fleet store, and I could get him from the Guild Currency store, and I really was just in a guild with 3 people for like the first 6 months. Then in May of 2017 is when I found the Blues Brothers Guild, which was great, and I'm still with many of them today, when I was able to get more of that Guild store currency, but I'd gotten a little bit. So Darth Maul is somebody I wanted to get, so I slowly started focusing on him. It took me a while to get him to 7 stars, but Savage Opress, who you're also able to find in the Squad Arena store, I was going after at the same time I was going after everybody else I could find in there. Right after Mace Windu, I went after him, and then I went after Darth Sidious as well. Do I have Darth Sidious here? I should. Yes, because I was thinking, this is Darth Sidious. Did you see him kick Maul and Savage's butt in the Clone Wars TV series? He is the ultimate culmination of the rule of 2, who becomes the Emperor Palpatine. When I use these characters, I was able to get in, like 100, between 150. And these are the characters I started leveling up because I knew them iconically, not necessarily that I knew they were good in the game. I was still young in the game, and I thought, oh, this character's got to be great, and that's not exactly the way it works. So at the same time, I was farming like 100 people at once. So when you think, well, just stick to what you were doing, in what order? I was going all over the place. Because the other character I started working on right away from the Galactic War store, and of course I had to spread these out a little bit. I didn't take, besides Mace Windu, after that, I didn't take one character to 7 stars immediately. I kind of spread out the shards. I went after Admiral Akbar. And he was a very good character at the time. I still think he's underrated in the game and has a usage in some parts. And he helped me climb even higher in Arena. Because what I decided to do is, I needed to get Emperor Palpatine. I had started to farm the Jedi to get Grandmaster Yoda, because again, that was my focus at the time. Let's unlock these legendary characters. Admiral Akbar, and then is when I started to go after Wedge and Biggs. Now, this is a combination, if you guys don't have in the game, because they, one of the previous metas, they're still a great team. And you can find them in Cantina Battle 6F and the Fleet Arena store as well, where I farmed him as well. And what's great about Biggs is the person I got to 7 star the quickest, is you can find him in the Galactic War store. So at all this time, I was farming all these characters. Wedge and Biggs, because I started to figure out the game, and when I would look at the ranks of other people, I figured out that a lot of other people are using these characters at this time, and they hit hard. So that's when I started to progress and figure out, you know what, I like these characters, let's also farm them. So with my Rebels, I had Admiral Akbar, Biggs, and Wedge. Now, what was the next Rebel that I farmed? Well, I gotta scroll up here somewhere because I lost track of where they are at. Here we go, right here. Scarif Rebel Pathfinder was very achievable at that time, because he came out with that, and he with the Rogue One release, and he was put into Cantina battles. And I started farming him immediately. Why? Because he's a rebel. And one, I had just seen Rogue One. I love the movie, obviously. And then besides Scarif Rebel Pathfinder, I went after Hoth Rebel Scout. And he was part of my arena team for 2-3 months because he hit big with his Rebel Assault. And with those characters, with those 5 rebels, I was able to achieve Emperor Palpatine. So far, I had unlocked Grandmaster Yoda and Emperor Palpatine within the first 2-3 months. And when I first started the game, I was addicted and spent too much money on it at the time, because I'm like, Star Wars is something new. I love it. I want to be able to compete. So I got these characters a little quicker than some other people because I opened a few Chromium packs. But still, I still had to farm them. And then the other characters here, were some that I used as well. Royal Guard, Captain Phasma, they were easily achievable at the time as well, and they were pretty powerful. So, I had worked on Grandmaster Yoda. I had worked on Emperor Palpatine by getting all these characters and leveling them up. And I was just throwing a few different tunes into Arena. And then finally when I put Savage in there in a random group with it was Wedge, Biggs, Savage, I was able to, maintain about 70 in the ranks. So, first regret was definitely farming Mace Windu to start off with. Then what happened is as I progressed a little bit in the game, and when I unlocked ships, which is before I could get some of these fleet currency people, obviously the way it is, but they give you some Tarkin shards with the Executrix. The Executrix is close to, if not tied, for the best capital ship in the game still. And when that came out, I was using Akbar because I had leveled him up a little bit, had him at gear level 7, 8, and using him in Arena in some instance. But I love Grand Moff Tarkin as a character, so I immediately started farming him and getting him to 7-star, and that was a big bonus for me. He's a very useful character. He's found in the Squad Arena store. I was definitely happy with that because the Executrix helped me move up in the Fleet Arena ranks as well because I got to his ultimate firepower, which was excellent, and he is a great character, so I'm happy that I did that. So now we're looking about 3 months in, some of the characters I use, where I was at with ships. I was probably in 300 ships and between 70 and 50 probably in Squad Arena, and this was 3 months in. Now, the other character that I went after almost immediately after Tarkin and some of the other people was Count Dooku. Now, what was really nice about Count Dooku is I got, first of all, when the game first came out, there was a pack available for $4.99 that got me some decent amount of shards for Dooku, and then he dropped a ton in the Bronzium data card packs when I started using the game. I literally got him to 7 stars very quickly by just Bronzium cards, farming him a little bit in the Squad Arena, getting a few packs, and honestly, he was one of my quickest characters to 7 stars, and he became eventually part of my meta, which I will describe here in a little bit. So, then obviously as we went on, Darth Vader released, and I started to use him in a Sith lineup as well. February 2017 came around, and really when I got deeply excited and into the game because Darth Nihilus was released. And I had the characters to unlock him. I got him at 3 or 4 stars. I wasn't able to spend anything. I just got him through the event, which was cool. And he immediately became part of my meta. I loved him. He was excellent. And I probably used him in the arena for 6-7 months. And then throughout that course of time, he's gone out of favor and come back in favor. He was the first character that came out that really got me hardcore interested in the game because I'm like, wow, they're going in Legends materials. They're adding a bunch of stuff. So, again, absolutely no. I love Darth Nihilus even at 3 stars. And anybody today that's just starting, you can use him at 3 stars as well. Then we started to come out with the Phoenix characters. Now, I had gotten quite a few Chromium packs for when was it? Maybe in February of that year because I had earned some money, and of course I was like, why did I just not spend it on the game? Why not, why save it for the future? Duh. And I'd started to get Baze and Chirrut shards, and I actually had unlocked them at 4 and 5 stars. And let me tell you, they were amazing characters. They're still good in the game, but back then they were amazing. They were so hard to kill. So what I'm working up to right now is, if you think I'm just kind of rambling on, is the first arena team I was able to get first with. So, of course, I have absolutely, no regrets with any of these characters. There's some characters down here that I didn't mark, that I had slowly started farming at the time, but, I don't really regret, but I'm not really that excited about it either. I'm just happy to have them now. So, as I said, Nihilus came out. Then the Phoenix characters were released in March or April of 2017, and I love Phoenix as a group. I love the Rebels TV show. So I got them as far as I could when they came out, and then I was able to farm them. And Ezra, who I use in my arena team today and hits like a truck, is amazing. So I had started to farm him. And the reason I farmed the Phoenix, one, because I like them. I didn't know eventually they would be used for Thrawn. But in the time period around April or May of 2017 is when I figured the game out big time. I'd watched videos. I'd finally figured out mods correctly. I'd studied the game a lot. I'd gotten in a great guild, was able to start farming Han Solo shards. And then I started to come up with teams that I can, define to get first place. Now, my team was extremely different than most people's at the time. They would run a wedge lead or a certain Tarkin lead, and I was the only person that did something different. I had fallen in love with Darth Nihilus' leadership ability, which allows Sith allies gain 60% offense, which is huge, and plus 150%, or plus, I guess I can't look at the Zeta, plus 100% health steal. All max protection becomes max health, and they're immune to healing effects and can't score critical hits, but they have all that bonus damage. So I used him in the leadership. And what I used with him was Count Dooku, because he could stun, and he would always counter. So he was always gaining health back, and I could stun the enemy. So he was countering, doing, he doesn't do very good damage, but he was able to control the field with stuns and keep gaining health and flawless riposte, whatever, how you say that, riposte. And it was amazing. So along with Nihilus in the leadership and Dooku, I had unlocked Palpatine, as I had said. And what I used him for was his mass stun. Not only could he do good damage, and back then, this was before his rework here, he healed on Let the Hate Flow Through You and gave offense up with that. And I had put a ton of potency on him, so I was getting lots of stuns. So I had a Nihilus lead with Palpatine, Dooku, and then I had finally gotten Chirrut and Baze to like 6-star, and I threw them in there as well. So I had the best heal tank combo in the game with the Sith at the time, the 3, that would stun and regain health, and Nihilus would get to annihilate. I was able to get first in the arena for like 2-3 months with that team. I would fall, maybe 20 spots, but then I would easily be able to catch back up and continue to get first place. And I was the only one running that team, so I felt special, unique, you know what I mean? And that was great. And I was using, usually when I play the game, I'm like, I want to make sure I have the whole faction entirely. If it's rebels that are meta, I want to have all rebels. I didn't have that thought process because I was winning. So it was Nihilus, Dooku, Palpatine, and Chase. So then, in the next few months, which I will stop here and get ready when I talk about this the next video. So we're about from November to June, July of 2017. That's about 6, 7, 8 months in. And so far, one of the major characters I regretted was Mace Windu, and everybody else I was proud of. And I was still learning the game. So in the next video, we are going to pick up where I left off here, and that's going to be with the Thrawn release. Throughout that other time in the game, I had started farming ships as well. I didn't really necessarily focus on a certain ship. I knew I wanted Biggs' ship, so I started to focus on him. And at the time, I also was just learning to unlock Zeta abilities, so I was focusing on getting being able to do these ship ability materials. So I was working on the Executrix and ships for that, and then I had also started to get squads together to farm mods. And back then, you couldn't use all characters allowed. You had to have a certain character group for each set of mods, and that was pretty hard, So I started at that time. We'll get to that in the next video. So this is a little different video. I'm describing what I did. I know some of you may not be interested in it, but that's okay. Somebody asked for it, and I enjoy explaining where I'm at in the game, and eventually I'll get up to where I am today. So I hope you guys enjoyed part 1 of the How I Got Here video. If you did, please smash the subscribe button, like the video as well. Click the notification bell so you can continue to see all the videos that I post, and leave comments in the comment section below. I want to know where you started, where you were at, what's been going on with you. Again, hope you enjoyed the video. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.